Thank you for joining us. This is Paul Wilson.
And Chris Emke.
You're listening to the Diesel Performance Podcast. We got a special guest today on the show, Matt Chambers from Alligator Performance. Matt, how the hell are you?
Doing good, guys. Man, it's been a little while since I've talked to you, but yeah, doing good.
Absolutely. Yeah, we actually tried to book this interview months ago and had some technical difficulties. We've worked all those technical difficulties out, and we wanted to get Matt to be our first phone guest back on the show.
In months.
In months, yeah, absolutely. And that's because we're very excited about Ultimate Callout Challenge and Diesel Performance Industry Expo coming up in May. And Matt, you guys are directly involved in that over at Alligator Performance.
Yeah, just a little bit. We've been working with those guys for years, and it seems like the show's getting bigger and bigger, and more spectators, more competitors. You know, bringing on a bunch of new side shows. The DPI Expo is growing huge. It's becoming a fun time, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Now, when you guys first got involved, it was really just in its very infancy stage, if I remember correctly. You guys were involved in the first year or the second year you guys got into it?
Oh, it was absolutely the first year. We got with James back in the day and kind of a back office conversation of like, what should we do to really spike huge interest and help grow the industry? And, something that's not, just a standard event, something that will be completely new. And so we kind of threw around a bunch of ideas and so that's kind of how far back this kind of went is, I think it's been 4 or 5 years now. And then I think it was 3 or 4 years ago is when the first event happened in Utah. And it was, I think, like 5 or 6 vendors there and a handful of competitors and not a whole lot of people there for spectating. And then it seems like it just blew up overnight.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, this is an event that, of course, spawned from basically a Facebook argument for just the most simplified version of the history of Ultimate Callout Challenge. And it really did. It just kind of exploded overnight. And now the Diesel Performance Industry Expo, the DPI Expo, largest conglomeration of diesel performance vendors I think I've ever seen. And that includes SEMA or any other shows. What do you think, Chris?
Well, last year was my first year. Followed it year one in Utah and then, Indianapolis the last few years. Being there last year, with the podcast and with Calibrated Power, it was a sight to see. I mean, you can't put into words the turnout, the event as a whole. And the DPI Expo is just, the biggest shops, the biggest names, the biggest companies in a parking lot per se. Alligator's booth was nothing short of impressive. We had our Scottsdale over there as well, and it was just really welcoming. The guys over at Alligator and any of the other mail orders that are out there, or the tuning shops. We're a competitor against other guys, and you go walk up to their booth, shoot the shit. It's just a good time. Everyone's really welcoming. So
it's very much an enthusiast group of people. Like you go to SEMA, there's 150,000 people at SEMA with I don't even know how many booths and trucks are there, and you kind of just get shell-shocked the whole thing. Then there's a PRI. It's a great event there. There's a lot more niched enthusiast groups there as well, the performance side of things, especially in the diesel world. But yeah, the DPI Expo and what UCC's become is unreal. It's a very, very closed, enthusiast-based group, and I think we're over like 100-ish or 120 vendors now at DPI Expo, and it's growing. And there's the people there that, spectator-wise, that can actually go up and talk to any one of these booths. Everybody jumps to the gun and wants to be there to have a good time and laugh, to information, to seeing a show.
Yeah, I mean, seeing the guys, with the different vendor bags and T-shirts, and I mean that's the time for these guys. I mean, there were guys traveling from like California, like spectators and stuff to come to this event, and they go up to you and like, oh, I see you on YouTube, or oh, I talked to you on the phone, and it's nice to just put a face to the name. It becomes a little bit more personable at that point, and it's just people, they're just going booth to booth, and then the following day, like, hey, I just wanted to come see the booth again, and it was a lot of fun, definitely.
Well, I thought one of the things that was really cool is the way that you guys over at Alligator have kind of integrated into the show. So your guys' booth is always right up front. You guys are the title sponsor. So you guys really do get right into the mix of this whole event. And I got to be honest, hearing about the live builds was probably one of the cooler highlights that I look forward to for 2019. Yeah. But I felt terrible when I found out you guys did a live build last year. Is that correct?
No, actually, we didn't do a live build last year. There was a booth, and I can't remember who it was behind us that was doing a live build. And they got the tent that was delivered was small, so it almost seemed like just a garage type of thing where someone was working on a truck that, unfortunately, no one really knew that it was a live truck build. And so we kind of wanted to make our booth, bigger and greater compared to previous years. And so, our footprint there, like a 40-foot by 100-foot booth. And then on the outskirts of that, we're going to do 2 live builds, open area. So it'll be a little bit fenced off just so people can't walk right in as mechanics are working on these trucks. But, yeah, we wanted to, change something different. We're going to have a bunch of our guys there to be able to talk with the crowd. You guys are going to be there and be able to talk with the crowd and, see what mechanics they're actually installing on these trucks live at the event.
So I don't know what, information's been leaked or what, but what are the vehicles that are going to be in this live build?
So we started out doing just one. We were going to do a 2018 Ram 6.7, and this is actually my personal truck, and it was one of those, I completely plan on leaving this truck stock, and we walked into a meeting. It was like, man, let's make our presence there at the UCC DPI Expo bigger than what it's ever been. And how are we going to do that? Well, we can open up our booth space. We can bring more people. We can bring some eye-catching displays and everything. But what about doing a full live build there at the event? Where people can stand around and see these industry-leading parts that are going on in this truck and go from a factory setup to a full-blown build in 3 days. Sounded like a badass idea, and we knew it was going to be complicated and knew there was going to be a lot of hurdles on the way. But yeah, kind of just started with that. Is rolled out that 2018 Ram out there, and I didn't really know what we wanted to do at the beginning. So it kind of evolved to I don't want it to be another standard SEMA truck build where it's a guy rocking 44-inch tires, 18-inch lift, and no performance, and then just a wrap on it, maybe some bumpers and grill, and just kind of the accessories. So we kind of rolled into it like at the Ultimate Callout Challenge, let's make the ultimate tow rig, something that the daily guy or the average guy would daily drive this, tow any trailer across country. It's reliable, it's fuel efficient. Leaving emissions intact, so that was another thing we wanted to keep because it seems like a lot of things in the industry right now with the EPA getting involved and people kind of getting their hands slapped and everything. We want to focus in on how to make performance with the emissions intact. So that was kind of the base, and we started doing a few performance things, but we knew that the accessories, the lift kit, wheels, tires was going to be a part of it. But first thing we did is jump to the performance. Being that's kind of our background, we're enthusiasts in power. So we got with ATS and did their Vortex 5000 compound kit. BD, we got one of their fully built transmissions. Some industrial injectors, fleece performance lift pump, and DPF back exhaust system. Doing things, head studs. The stuff that kind of goes along with it. And it kind of just spitballed from there. End up jumping into a 4-inch lift kit from BDS suspension, doing some 35-inch wheels and tires. It just kind of rolled.
Wow.
Absolutely. We're really excited. Chris, this is a similar, nicer build than what you drive every day.
Wow, Paul. Yeah, not everyone can afford a BMW, man.
Hey.
But no, I have a lot of experience. My 15 has the Aurora Vortex compound on it and different injection pump from Exergy. And I'm a little jealous of you, Matt, with the fleece in the tank pump setup, man. That's really slick. I'm excited to see that in person and see how that turns out.
Yeah,
Can we talk real quick about some of your guys' part selections with this, Matt?
Yeah.
What were you guys, now you wanted to do emissions equipped, you wanted to do something power. Can you kind of explain to our listeners why you wanted to go after injectors and supply fuel? How is that going to impact the build overall?
Yeah, so we trying to explain that right. So kind of going into it, we wanted to bring in all the manufacturers that were going to be at the DPI Expo and, build something that's going to be just more than what a programmer gives, but leaves the emissions intact. And we know that the ATS Vortex kit can do that. It has that manifold that's allowing you to leave the stock turbo in there and get around all the emission stuff from the cooler and whatnot, and then be able to upgrade the fueling. We know that the factory fuel pump or the lift pump's not going to be efficient for that 600, 700 horsepower range. And so that's when we jumped in that Fleece in-tank pump. And that's a great looking setup, great performing setup, rated for 170 gallons per hour, good for 850 horsepower trucks. This truck will never make it to that point. It's going to be a solid daily driven, reliable truck. And then getting solid tuning in there, make this efficient. Kind of overall give it that good build. We're going to change gears too. We got with nitro gears, and we're doing 411 gears in it to play with the ratios there, so we're not so low in the RPMs when we're towing heavy up steep grades and everything. We're in the Northwest, so the Rocky Mountains here, we're changing elevation quite often. So kind of doing an overall just badass tow build on that. And along with that, though, here recently, we ended up bringing up a second truck, which is a whole monster of its own. Something new to the industry is that 2018 Ford F-150 with a 3-liter Power Stroke in it. And that one's starting to unravel and be quite exciting.
Wow. Not only are you doing one build, but you're going to do two builds within a couple days. Nothing could go wrong with this. It sounds awesome.
Nothing can go wrong with this. Yeah, we're kind of pulling our hair out right now. We have three mechanic teams basically. So we have Hunter Inman at Sick Nasty Diesel Performance and Matt Fraley from Widowmaker Diesel
cool.
over in Pennsylvania, and they're coming out and they're tackling the 18 Cummins. And then we have a crew from Fleece Performance that are going to come over and tackle that 3.0 Power Stroke. So
Hunter's
so cool.
Hunter's good shit, man. You can always trust him on his stuff.
Oh yeah. Both those guys are good, and we've dealt with them for a long time. They've good friends with them. Anytime we go out to the East Coast, we always meet up with them and have a good old time. So we've known them for years.
So, $1 million question here, Matt. Are you driving your 18 there?
Man, we thought about it. We're like, instead of bringing this truck and this trailer and that trailer and everything, why don't we just take the 18, throw our trailer with all our event stuff into it, and haul ass to the East Coast? And like, man, there's just so many possible things that could go wrong. Like ones if something wasn't tightened down and we blow a manifold gasket, or maybe a fluid level is wrong, or something within the transmission, or maybe some headset issues, or an ejector issue, or just a fuel line or something like that. We could be heading back. We're 2,500 miles from home. So we pulled that idea after a couple of months. Like, let's bring another truck. We'll flatbed this one over just in case something goes wrong. And as of right now, we're planning on this to be completely solid, no flaws, no issues. The guys that are working on this are perfect. So I think we'll be good.
And I think the thing here too is you're not advocating that you can do a big build in a weekend. It's eye candy, right? You're allowing the viewers to see something that they might go on YouTube and watch videos on. You guys are going to end up trailering this back, and there's going to be a once-over on the truck. Multiple hands in on it. Am I wrong by saying that?
I'll be a once-over. There's a few things I'll be doing here at the shop just because of time restrictions, like that 4-inch BDS lift kit. It takes about 6 to 8 hours to install that lift kit and getting things realigned and everything. We just don't want to deal with that over on the East Coast when we're 2,500 miles from home, and it's on a 3-day period. So I'm going to do that and the pack brake air system here at the shop first, then we go over there and still the meat and potatoes of the build. We're doing, the compounds, the twin CP3s, the front rear bumpers, the grill, bed accessories, programming, head studs, injectors. I mean, there's still a ton of stuff that's going just in that one truck. On that 18 Ford, pretty much the majority of it's going to be happening there. We'll do the lift kit here just because of the same reasons. But jumping into front rear bumpers, wheels and tires, sport hood, the chase racks, because it's going to be kind of a chase truck styled build. Possibly doing a turbo upgrade. We're still working on that. This platform is so new that there's not a whole lot out there for it. So working with Fast to do a lift pump for it. Diamond Eye just got us an exhaust system for it that they've been R&Ding for us for the last couple of months now. S&B just released their cold air intake for this 3.0 Power Stroke, and we just got that here in the shop last week. So there's a lot of stuff that's still coming in, and that we're still R&Ding with a lot of these leading manufacturers to try to get parts for this. Just at such a new platform that it's a time crunch for sure.
Absolutely. So, and that's one of the things I wanted to drill in on. When we're talking about a live build, like you said, a few of these things have to get done before the show. So we're going to have a truck there with a few modifications already done. I believe the plan is to not only have guys working on the truck, but also to bring up some of the representatives from these companies that are supplying the parts and let them talk to people and really talk about the real world, like while they're standing next to somebody installing a pump or an intake, and be able to ask those guys questions, be able to hear from those guys about what do we expect to get for performance out of these. I think it definitely makes for a big show. So with something like this going on at UCC, there's so many events this year at Ultimate Callout Challenge, just in general. There's so many. I think you referred to them as sideshows earlier, and I think that's the exact right terminology for it. So many cool things to see that you're not going to get to see anywhere else. I think it's really awesome that you guys are bringing this and letting people kind of come and get involved and really just have a more clear understanding of what it's like to do some of these parts and to do some of these upgrades and accessories and things like that. What else do you guys got planned for this year at UCC?
Man, there's quite a bit. I mean, we're working with, like I said before, over 100 plus vendors going to be there, and we're working with almost every single one of them to bring in special offers and deals and everything just for show specials. We're working on a monster size booth. If you go to SEMA, you see some of those outside booths that are huge, and so we're working on something like that where we can have a fully covered area with a couple show trucks in there. Some different kiosks where you can talk to some of our guys and BS with them, and maybe if you're looking for some parts, they can jump to one of the computers real quick and overnight something or get it to you the next week, and then we'll have our apparel going on there as well. And there's so much else outside of our booth it's gonna be a blast. It's really nice that they have the pit open to the public now, where you can just kind of walk in there and you can see how some of these guys are Derek Rose and some of the BD teams and the industrial teams and a handful of those guys, how they're working on the trucks the entire time. I mean, they're doing swaps, they're doing fine-tuning things. Right. That's a show of its own. If you just want to hang out in the pits and check out what these guys are doing with some of these huge competition builds, it's wild to see. And then just being able to walk through vendor row, it's great there. Jump in the stands and watch some of these low timed trucks, full-size pickup trucks, just throw down on the track. It's an awesome time.
Absolutely, man. Well, I know I'm getting excited for it. Listeners, as we have more and more details rolling out, we'll be keeping you guys up to date on all of your Ultimate Callout Challenge information. Of course, we are very proud and happy to be the official podcast of Ultimate Callout Challenge. As we mentioned in last week's episode, we also will be doing the announcements, it sounds like, with KJ again for Diesel Power Challenge and Diesel Power Magazine. So big shout out to them.
Yeah, that magazine actually just published.
Oh, that's right. It just dropped.
All of the readers' trucks or the potential competitors is now available for voting.
Yeah.
So
voting is open on Diesel Power Challenge. So get out there, get your magazines, get your votes in. I know I got a special shout out for Brad Sankey, who's got his truck in the running this year. So
He does?
He does, yeah. So
Wow.
that should be pretty interesting. A few other guys that we know as well. So we're really excited for that.
Yeah.
We'll also be going over and doing some interviews with some UCC competitors again. Some of the guys who maybe have been there a couple of the years. We'd love to get on a couple of the guys that made it through the qualifier.
Yes,
I
yes.
think getting those qualifiers and talking about, the difference from last year to this year will be really interesting. So
big league.
yeah, yeah, that's it, right? Pro-am to pro. So definitely, if anybody wants to get a hold of Alligator Performance, what's the best way to do that, Matt?
Yeah, either hit us up through the website at alligatorperformance.com. Our phones are always available, or email. Always can hit us through any of our social accounts: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, any of those. We're pretty easily accessible. So we got a great crew here that'll take care of anybody. So yeah, if you got any questions, just hit us up.